Hi everyone! Happy Friday if you're watching this on the day that I managed to get it uploaded, if that is the same day as the day I have recorded this. Anyhow, happy Friday, happy almost weekend for everyone. I got the Spirit Animal Oracle in last night by Colette and Reid, and so I thought I would kind of share it with you guys, like my first impressions. I know you guys seem to like that. And I don't buy a lot of new decks any longer, but I do purchase Colette Baron Reid's decks. And there are reasons for that. And so I kind of figured in this video we'll talk about her decks in general and what I really love about them as a reader and what I think make them awesome on the whole. And just some of my favorite Colette decks over the years to work with and that I've connected with really well. So this is the Spirit Animal Oracle box that the deck comes in. And the Mystical Shaman Oracle, which is the deck that I believe was her last one previous to this one, is off the charts amazing. I'm going to talk about it in a second. But the packaging for that was so awesome. I was kind of hoping that Hay House would have given us very similar packaging. And I do understand that they need to keep costs down. And the Shamanic Oracle is a little pricier than this one. Although actually not really now that I'm looking at the retail price. I did purchase this on Amazon, and so instead of paying $29.99, which is what it's listed as, I think I paid $18.95 for it, something like that. So this is the box it comes in. It's a typical Hay House box, but it's one of the much fatter ones, like a lot of Doreen Virtue's later decks were. And it's a nice sturdy box, so I'll definitely be hanging on to it. It says on the inside, the spirits residing in the natural world have much to share, and the secrets of their forgotten language are now available to you. And then on the inside, it says the abundant universe will provide on both sides, which is the message from Buffalo. It has the nice little ribbon to pull the cards out easily, which I do always appreciate. And Jenna Gratalia did the artwork, as she has for all but one of Colette's decks, to my knowledge. And I have all but one of Colette's decks, to my knowledge as well. So, let's see, what can I say about the box and all of that good stuff. So yeah, I wish it had been a little bit bigger, like the Mystical Shaman deck. And I wish that the guidebook was the bigger deck. I don't like this little size. I like a real full guidebook size. So that was a little bit disappointing. However, she has a very nice introduction. I did read the introduction this morning. Very nice introduction in here, talking about kind of how to work with the Oracle deck. And she did just do I think it showed up on my YouTube thing this morning, that she had just streamed kind of like a how-to for working with this deck, which is really helpful if you're kind of new to working with Oracle decks, but also just to understand her intentions with this deck. And it's very much that you use the cards and the spirit animal energy associated with each card to kind of manifest and work with the spirit animal energy that's coming into your life at this time. So even though you absolutely can use this deck for divination, it's really more, in my opinion, at least from my first glances at it, like I'll do a full-fleshed review once I've worked with it for a month or so, guys, as you know, but it's more about meditating with the card images and understanding the messages that are coming with the spirit animal and connecting with the spirit animal as a part of your daily practice. And she recommends in that video stream, because I did watch it this morning while I was doing some cleaning, she was talking about drawing one for the year on your birthday or for the new year, the animal that would be walking with you for that time, and also working with the moon cycles and various spirit animal draws during that too, which I thought was really awesome for those of us who are pagan or follow a more earth-based religion, or even if, you know, wherever your spirituality lies, if you tend to follow the moon cycles or walk a path that involves things like meditation and card work and journeying with your cards, etc., it's wonderful that she really had that in mind with this deck. So I liked that a lot. The card backings look like this. Not my favorite, but not my least favorite, trust me. It's a nice matte card, which is awesome, and I'm really kind of obsessed with the matte cards for sure. So much, I like them so much better than the shiny, slippery ones. So I'll show you some of the images. It's not my favorite Jenna deck, I'm sorry to say. It's just not quite, it's like it's almost there for me, but not quite as far as the artwork goes. However, I think it's great for using the deck for what Colette was talking about, which is, you know, you can do a 7 or 12 card spread with this deck, but it's really more like you're probably going to be doing single draws or 2 or 3 card draws. And so the images are nice to kind of zero in on the energy you're working with and focus on that. And it's certainly in no way as bad as some of the artwork we've seen in a lot of Hay House decks, right? For those of us who usually tend to go for a more high art oracle deck. She worked really hard to get a plethora or a nice wide range of animals from different continents as well, and I think she definitely succeeded in that. She did a great job with that. So you'll see that it's not just North American animals if you're here stateside, which is really nice. I've only drawn 1 card so far because my intention is to work with it, as she said, based on the moon cycles, but also because we're approaching the new year and I like to do a little card work before the new year begins. And it's the 14th now, so we're almost halfway through the month, and you know, more towards like the last 2 weeks of the month I like to spend any personal spiritual time kind of, you know, just sitting with what I've learned from the year and what I want to step into in the next year and what the energy for 2019 in this case for this year would feel like. So I'm not disappointed in this. I am not as over the moon as I was for Mystical Shaman Oracle, but I'm definitely not disappointed in this one. And I'm looking forward to seeing, as I get to know the energy of the deck, how it's going to work with me. So the next deck that I'm going to talk about, guys, actually, you know what? I'm going to wait a sec for this. I'm going to talk about Wisdom of the Oracle next. So I came to Colette's work, I believe the 3rd deck that I ever purchased, 3rd or 4th deck of hers I ever purchased was the Enchanted Map Oracle. And I really loved that deck. It read like a charm. It was super easy to read for myself, but also for clients as I started to work with other people. The messages were very thought-provoking and yet simple and easy to understand. And there's a book that kind of accompanies, it doesn't accompany the deck, you have to purchase it separately, but the book, the map, works in tandem or can work in tandem with the Enchanted Map Oracle. And I really enjoyed the book, The Enchanted Map, and I still recommend that book for clients who are highly intuitive, highly empathic, or have dealt with a lot of trauma, perhaps dealing with PTSD. That book gives a very helpful way of creating a terrain and a landscape in your inner realm in order to understand where you are emotionally, how to best help yourself, and also how to stay grounded and balanced. And I still will reread parts of that book and recommend it to clients, again, like I said, who might be in some of those situations I just mentioned. So the Enchanted Map, which funnily enough, like that one and the Wisdom of the Night or Something of the Night are the 2 Colette decks I don't have right now. I never got the Wisdom of the Night one, or whatever that one's called, because it's based on a set of like young adult books or something like that, and I just never, I don't know, it just never called to me. I never felt a need to own it. But the Enchanted map is the first Colette deck I ever had and is really awesome. It's not my favorite artwork at all. None of her decks feature my favorite artwork. But she creates very clear, sharp, concise decks that really, like, if you have a question and you're going in, or if you're looking to see what's going on, like why something's coming up or something you need to know or understand, or how best do I move throughout my day today, that Colette's decks are awesome. They're awesome for that. And so I love her decks, even though I do not love the artwork in her decks. So this is the Wisdom of the Oracle. This deck is so accurate, it is not even funny. It reads, it calls whatever is going on underneath the surface, this deck calls it out. As you can imagine, photo manipulation, Jenna DeGratelia has done the artwork for all of Colette's decks except for Wisdom of Avalon, to my knowledge. And this deck is just eerily, awesomely accurate, even though, like I said, not my favorite artwork. But it's very, very accurate. And if you are starting with, if you're new to working with Colette's decks, I would say this one, the Wisdom of the Oracle or the Enchanted Map Oracle, is a very, it's a great place to start with her decks, because that is like what you get with her decks. You understand just how it's going to work with you. And her guidebooks are, you know, pretty much straight and to the point. The beautiful thing about this deck is if you're new to Oracle, this guidebook has 4 different meanings, maybe 5, but I think it's 4 for the card that you pull. And this actually isn't stressful, because there's a meaning for if it's upright, a general meaning. There's a meaning for if it's reversed or in protection. So this deck does use reversals. Most of hers do. There is a meaning for if you were asking about a relationship, and there's a meaning for if you're asking about prosperity or career, finances, etc. So if you are new and trying to figure out how to work with Oracle, or if you're asking questions for yourself and worried that you're not going to get the most accurate understanding of what's showing up for you in the cards, that guidebook is very helpful. So I would say if you're new to Colette, start with the Wisdom of the Oracle. This is the Wisdom of Avalon deck. This is one of my favorite Colette decks, but she got roasted when this deck came out, at least from what I saw in the pagan community, because it's divided into sections, this deck. It's based on the mythology of Avalon. But there are quite a few decks that are called Sacred Journey Markers, and they look like this. There's no people, they're photo manipulation. There's no animals, there's nothing really, it's just like a basic nature scene and some type of symbol. And people really didn't like that. A lot of people felt like they were getting the same card. They were getting like 15 of the same card. This is one of those. I completely disagree with that. I love that she has them divided into different sections, and so you can understand when certain cards show up. There's something very specific to pay attention to, and she does explain that in the guidebook. So if you're considering purchasing this, don't worry about that. I had no issue with that at all. I am so glad that I went against what I had read in the reviews and just purchased the deck because it felt right for me. This was my second Colette deck, and it may even have been the second deck that she created. No, wait. This one might be her first. This one might be Colette's first. I'm not sure. You can do some research on that if it calls to you. But I really love this deck. I just do. I enjoy it. I enjoy working with it. It's some of the images I actually really love. Like this one, the Lady of the Lake. From the guidebook, you know, you're not going to get an in-depth look at the mythology or mystery of Avalon. It's more about a language that she's pulled, a language of symbolism she feels most aligns with Avalon that she's pulled from to create the deck. So, but this is the Wisdom of Avalon deck, and I really love that. This is probably my most favorite Colette deck of all time. And she wrote it with 2 other people whose names I can't remember, and I'm not going to go scrounge around for the guidebook right now. Villa de Lobos, Villa something. There are 2 other shamans that she wrote the book with, and created the deck with. There was the 3 of them working together. And this is the backing. I hate this backing. It's my only complaint about this deck. Anyhow, it's called the Mystical Shaman Oracle. It is beautiful. I actually love the artwork in this deck. Even though it's photo manipulation, Jenna really got it right. The Hidden Realms Oracle, there are some images I like in that deck. There are some that I don't understand. This deck, with the exception of maybe 1 card, I get everything she did in the artwork, and I actually love it. And this is the first deck that I ever got with my partner as well, and we read with the cards in this deck with each other every morning. So it's a special deck for that reason too. This deck works with a limited number of clients. It doesn't work with everybody. The guidebook is awesome. It's Hay House, so it's not too dense, but it gives you plenty of information, and you feel really, you understand what the card is saying to you. It's very accurate, and it's more, I use this, and when I draw from this deck with my partner, we use it more for what do I need to know and personal reflection. So I don't typically use this for divination. I might draw for clarification, but it's much more like if I'm working with a client, but it's much more about personal reflection, meditation, journaling, understanding. I'm going to leave my reversals in, guys, because I don't want to unshuffle this deck. Understanding, what's coming up, the symbolism, what's going on, and I'm very closely aligned with shamanic energy anyhow. This combines native, North American, South American, Aboriginal, like it covers a wide range of shamanic tribes and peoples, and that symbolism in the same way that the Spirit Animal Oracle intends to work with spirit animal energy from across the globe, not just in one continent, and I do really enjoy that. I love that image. So this is my absolute favorite Colette deck of all time. And I know she wrote it with 2 other people, so it isn't just her. But as far as across the board, artwork, guidebook awesomeness, and just beauty in working with the deck, this deck reads like a song. Wisdom of the Oracle is just off the charts accurate, and I couldn't not use this deck even if I wanted to not use it. I have to say, I'm just kind of laughing that I don't have the Enchanted Map Oracle when that was my first Colette deck ever. I don't know. I must have given it away to somebody, and then in various moves over the last couple of years. It's just cracking me up. So the next 2 decks I'm going to talk about, they're not my favorite Colette decks, but I still use them. So what can I say? Like, we have to honor the fact that they are decks that you can get absolutely get use out of. And I think because in Mystical Shaman and in the Good Tarot, which is the one I'll talk about next, Jenna really knocked it out of the park with the artwork for this genre, which is the photo manipulation, highly digitalized artwork, right? Which, if that floats your boat, then you are going to love these decks. More power to you. It's not my favorite type of artwork. I primarily bought this deck because of the artwork. And it was a Colette deck, so I knew for my clients this deck was going to be very inoffensive. It's so middle of the road that if you're someone who's super nervous about having a reading, you're new to having a reading, you're new to cards, you're really worried about like letting dark energy in and am I going to get hurt, Colette's decks are wonderful to work with for new clients because they're not too angely. They don't go, spirituality light, but they are very like calming and artwork that you can like no matter what your spiritual beliefs are. It's not going to be offensive. It's not going to freak you out. You're not going to have a huge reaction or no reaction at all. You'll be somewhere nice and safe in the middle there. And so this was a deck that I wanted to have for clients like that because, as you guys know, I prefer dark decks. I prefer the scarier decks. And I do work in New England, and so a lot of my in-person clients are older clients, to be honest with you. And so for some of them who are new to this, or who have come from a place of witchcraft equals Satan, and going to see a psychic medium is colluding with the devil, like some of them are really stepping out of healing that. And so this is a deck that I know I can bring, that I am not compromising my ability to read with because I love the deck, but it's also very gentle in the artwork. It is not the matte that I love in the Spirit Animal Oracle and Mystical Shaman Oracle, unfortunately. But the quality cardstock is very good. Here's my gripe about this deck. It's called the Good Tarot, and just like Doreen, Colette changed some of the meanings of the names of the cards, and everything is to make you feel good, like so you don't feel scared when you work with the images. If you're new to tarot and you're worried about that, like I said, if you're still healing a wound of feeling like this is colluding with the devil, then this deck can be a great way for you to work with that energy and not feel nervous about it, okay? If you're someone like me who's a seasoned tarot reader, the Wheel of Fortune becomes Fortune's Wheel. It's a little bit irritating, honestly. Here's the Hermit. I don't like changing the names. Those are the names. They're the names for a reason. The Devil becomes Temptation. Everybody has to change the name of, here's the Fool, which is very pretty. Like Jenna just really knocked the artwork out of the park in this deck. It's so beautiful to work with that I can't hate the fact that it's only good energy. And they changed the names of some of my favorite cards. Like all of these things would be reasons why I would not work with this deck typically, as you guys know. But it's so lovely that it's very easy to ignore. And I'm going to say this, and this is the only deck I will say this about, besides like Doreen Virtue's Angel Tarot, which I occasionally will use. I ignore the guidebook. The guidebook for this one is super light and airy, and it just is not in depth. It's not in depth enough for tarot. I love Colette. She has been a psychic medium for 30 years. She has created all of these incredible decks. Please, I say this with love because I love Colette's work and I believe in what she does. Insofar as I believe that she believes in what she does and she is approaching this with integrity. She's not someone who's just out to make a quick buck. She believes in what she does. Her decks read too well to be somebody who doesn't believe in what she does. But tarot is tarot for a reason. So when we start making it super light and airy fairy, when we don't get into the meat of the cards, I mean, the guidebook meanings are like one little paragraph for some of the minor arcana. I don't understand this. So I have stopped looking at that guidebook because it is infuriating as a seasoned reader of tarot. But I still use this deck. I haven't stopped using the deck for clients. And I will on occasion use it for myself, not all the time. But probably like, 1 month a year out of the year, I'll pull it out and use it for personal work when I just need softer imagery, because you can see how soft the artwork is even on my crappy camera. It's a very soft deck imagery wise. And so if you're in one of those places where you're on sensory overload, it's a good deck to work with. This is the deck that I have the most gripe about with Colette's work, and I still use it. I have not gotten rid of this deck, even with all the moves I've done, because it does serve a valuable purpose, even though it is not a way of looking at tarot that lines up with my truth in regards to tarot. But if you're new to tarot or you're nervous about tarot, this is a nice entry point. So this is The Good Tarot by Colette Reid. I want to see if I can find judgment for you guys. Because it cracks, here it is. This is what cracks me up. They're nervous about the people rising up out of the graves in the Judgment card, right? That we typically see in traditional tarot. But in all of these lighter decks, we have an angel with a trumpet heralding. It's like we kept the imagery, but we just cut out what we didn't want to look at. But we also need to look at that. So I don't understand. I don't understand changing the name of Judgment because, as we all know, the Judgment card itself is not about facing a judgment from which you cannot come back. So it's confused. I don't understand it, guys. But this is the Judgment card in the Good Tarot. And I don't know if I ever did a review of this or not. I think I've pretty much done it here. I like this image. And I think this is actually the reason why I purchased this. There's very few cards in this deck that I don't like. So I'm going to stop rambling about the Good Tarot. The last deck that I have that I have out, I'm pretty sure this is it, because like I can't find that Enchanted map deck. Anyhow, this is, let me see, is the box under there? Wisdom of the Hidden Realms. I love this backing. Can I just say this is my favorite Colette backing of all time. This is the backing for the Good Tarot. I actually don't really mind this backing. I like that. What can we say? It's not matte cardstock. I think this was her third deck, if I remember right. This deck is as accurate as every other Colette deck. I don't know if in newer editions, I hope they've changed the whatever we have going on here for the borders, but somehow in a average Oracle deck card size, we have eliminated almost half of the space in some weird kind of border. Now I know it's supposed to be like a portal or a door that you can walk through, but, and I do have the reversals set up in this because this deck does use reversals. Great guidebook for this if you're new to Oracle, great one to start with. This is Jenna's artwork. And I just don't understand why it's not the whole card size. If in newer editions, if it is, somebody let me know that. I would be interested to know. But I like that she is using archetypes like the Meadow King, the Chess Queen, the Phoenix. Oh, I have a lot of reversals in this deck. So there's a couple in here that I really like. Let me see if I can find. It's not, I like this one for the lovers, the Sacred Union, Partnership, Romance. I think that one's really pretty. It's not my favorite Colette deck. I have a love-hate relationship with this because the artwork was so not my thing, especially when I first got this deck. I don't know. I go back and forth with it, but it reads like a song. It's very accurate. This is when like all the Hay House authors were putting themselves in their decks. So this is actually Colette as the altar priestess. I'm really glad Colette didn't keep doing that. I'm glad she let go of that. I mean, it's more power to you if you want to. I'm not saying you can't. I just don't. This was like a weird thing they were all doing at that time, which was fascinating to me. Here's the Rainbow Prince. I love this image. It's beautiful. So it's like, I love that one, but then I hate Gaia's Garden. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's this weird, I have a really polarized reaction to the images in this deck. And so, like this one, what is this? The Swan Queen. What? It's just so obviously like photoshopped that it gets hard for me. And so I know this is an art form. Kudos to Jenna. She believes in what she does. She brings intention to her work. You can always tell that. I never feel like she's phoned anything in. It's just not my style. So let me see. There might be one more that I like in here. This is, again, an image I really struggle with. struggle with this one. Do you remember like the fairy ring or something like that? I think I did a review for that deck back in the day too. Like all of them were all doing this kind of photo imagery manipulation thing. That just was not, no, there's no more. It just was not my style. This one, out of all of Colette's, lines up the closest with, like, I almost can't deal with the artwork of them all. This one, Enchanted Map is, it's close to that, but it's not the same because it reads so well. And I love the idea of creating that inner temple in the structure of a map and going to various locations and journeying. It's really, really powerful stuff. And Colette is not the first person to do that, and she doesn't, in no way is she saying she created this. She created a technique to work with it, but this idea shamanically and in various healing cultures or healer aspects and lore has been around for a long time, and it's really, really, it's one of those things that if you feel drawn to do it, I highly recommend it. And I will say personally for myself, it's what created the most empowering first steps on my path and made the biggest difference for me in my journey as well. So I love that the Enchanted Map Oracle and the map book that she created to go with that really dive into that type of inner work. It's very empowering, and it also helps you to really develop your intuition and understand your gifts as well. So I have rambled for way too long about Colette decks, but I just kind of wanted to, because I got the spirit animal and I was like, why did you know, when I was looking through some of the artwork, I was like, oh, why do I always get Colette's decks? Why do I do that? And I was like, I think I want to make a video on this. I've talked about this a little bit at various times over the years doing seasonal, you know, deck collections, what I'm using type videos. But Colette, it was fascinating when I was watching this morning the stream that she had done and listening to her. She really feels like each deck has a codex in its own language, and it is its own being, and when it comes to her, she's translating that. And that's very much how I've always felt about the work that I do and what happens when I work with decks as well. You guys know I feel like it's its own energy, it's its own soul, it has its own blueprint. And the gift that we all have as card readers, whether we read for ourselves or ourselves and others, is that we get to walk into that blueprint and we get to spend time and merge with that soul, and really awesome groovy things happen when we do that. And Colette's decks, outside of like, if you go into like the traditional larger and big production mass produced decks, that's the word I was looking for, Hay House decks, Colette is the best of that grouping in my opinion. And like I said, I feel that she brings an intention to the decks that I don't want to work with a deck that someone hasn't come to with a depth of and a level of intention. And Colette does, in my opinion. You can just feel it when you work with her decks. Like I said, even if you have no connection to the artwork at all, like I very often do with her decks, you still get a lot out of working with the deck, with the cards themselves, through meditating, through journaling and journeying, and it's absolutely worth it to make that purchase, in my opinion, if you are considering making that purchase. And they're reasonably priced for what they are and what's out there, because they are mass produced. So if you're new, it's a good introduction. That was my long rambly Colette Baron Reid Oracle deck video. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you're all having a wonderful December as we approach the end of the year, getting some time to yourselves to sit with and review and feel into how you are and where you are on your journey as we approach the new year. I am sending you, as always, much love and many blessings. See you in the next video, guys. Bye.